Welcome to Disclosures with Peter the Insider and Jessica Arael Morocco. The ACIO has a long history of helping humanity from the deep recesses of time. This is the first time the ACIO has become available to the public, aside from an earlier visitation by their 15th Division, the Wingmakers. Peter the Insider, originally from Slovakia, is the director of their 12th Division, and Jessica Arael Morocco is in Cicada 3301, their 6th Division. Together, they provide intel, insights on current events, a deeper perspective on aliens and UFOs, super soldier missions with Unit 374 and the Merge, and news relevant for disclosure. Don't forget to subscribe to keep updated with our latest intel and post any questions and comments below.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today in Disclosures. We have another update with Peter the Insider and talking a little bit more about what's going on during his mission, keeping us updated because this is a critical matter. I know that there's a lot of other peripheral things going on in many different communities, not necessarily our community, but people are scrutinizing each other and all that other stuff. We're going to stay focused on the things that are of importance because none of this is going to matter if we get into a major war. And we're trying to avert that. And I know some people don't take that very serious, but they really should. And we want to just keep everyone updated with what's going on. So let's open the floor up to Peter the Insider. Peter, let's kind of talk about what's going on right now.
So I want to say hello to you and Jessica and to all of our regular and maybe not so regular listeners. So I'm still in Slovakia, in my homeland, in the country where I originally came from. And the stuff is that situation here, I mean, in the society, it's absolutely crazy. Like the tension is extremely high. People are polarized because of absolute nonsenses. I mean, it is not because of political situation only. People stopped talking about politics a long time ago. People are devoted right now to two groups, and this is big difference, okay? Like to have standard political parties on one hand, and to have at least some sort of basic democracy on one hand, and on the other hand, to literally break up, let's say, as I'm saying this term, at least basics of democracy, and to get like, I don't want to say dictatorship, but some sort of autocratic regime, what will be even worse as it in Russia or in China, okay? And I mean worse. And I'm thinking, okay, and maybe not so many people are not only from Czech and Slovak Republic, because we were like for 4 decades in the same country, in the same regime, or from post-communistic countries, or let's say also called Eastern Bloc. But for people from Western world, capitalistic Europe, or from US, from, I don't know, Canada, here. I mean, I am now in Slovakia, but I'm still using this term here in land down under, in Australia, in New Zealand, in, I don't know, in Japan, and so on. It kind of looks like that people from former communist countries, they understand what freedom is about and democracy is about, let's say, highly theoretical. but they don't understand how to use it. They don't understand that it is a privilege, and there is a very small group of people. They got extremely rich in a very short period of time because there were, factories and companies and everything. All of them, because communistic regime, all of them were state-owned, also aka government-owned, and after previous regime just broke up, fell down, people they've been like members, or let's say part of the elite, communistic party. They simply make also called privatization. That means they just get, okay, this will be yours, that will be yours. But those people absolutely have zero clue how to manage, work of those companies on one hand, and on the other hand, they were naive, let's say it that way. Like, they were naive, and they're like, okay, if we sell this and that and another one, like factory or company to Western countries, they were naive that they will invest to modern all of those, to make more modern all of those companies. Aye, big mistake. They bought all of those companies. They completely took it over, and all of those former employees simply lose their jobs. Because those people were naive. They really believe that it will help people a lot. Do you know what I mean? And that never happened. And now, 30 years, so let's say 3 decades after the whole events happened, people are frustrated. I mean, come on, people, do you know what I mean? Like, let's say, people from the societies, and they kind of don't believe in democracy and capitalism and everything. But from my point of view, what is the basic problem? Okay, how in the world you should, or you need, or you can apply capitalistic principles in part of the world where for 4 decades were absolutely different conditions, and there were, let's say, different environments and everything. Do you know what I mean? And that's the problem. Like, okay, stop, guys. I mean, what is crossing common people's minds? Like, hey, stop, guys. This will not work like that. They want some sort of autocratic regime where state should have extremely strong government, one political party, which will hold still extremely strong, let's say some sort of stability for the people, and the people shouldn't care. Like, this is not my business. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So in some sort of way, I don't want to say they want to communistic regime back. No. What I'm saying, whatever political party. Now, it doesn't matter for in those days, I mean, today, nowadays, call it as you like. And that's it. And this is the problem. Like, many people were like, okay, we should vote for this party, for those parties, and all kind of that stuff. I mean, inside, quotes in quotes, standard politicians. And now, once a far right political parties won elections to European parliaments, you know, in most European Union members countries.
Right. Yeah,
Also
that's what's
called
happening.
also called standard politicians are like, oh my God, what happened? And that's my question. It is not what happened. Why in the world, or let's say better to say, what in the world you did / what you didn't do, you know, in the past that you gave such political movements, you know, and ideas to rose. You know what I mean? If you like it or not, that's true. Because pretty much desperate people equals, you know, desperate, I don't know, solutions or something like that.
Right, right.
Am I right? No, go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, no, that's okay. So typically when you have a political arena, right? So you have people that are, you know, say, we'll use the United States because that's what I'm most familiar with. You have your Democrat, you have your Republican, and then you have your conservative and liberal. And you can have a conservative and liberal that are Republican. You can have a conservative or liberal that are Democratic. But typically it's somewhere in the center. Even if you're Democratic or Republican, it's been typically in the center, a little bit to the liberal side or a little bit to the conservative side. And then suddenly it swung very far over to the liberal side, very far. And what happens is what happens with the pendulum when you swing it that far in one direction, everyone is up in arms from that was used to this central point. It swings drastically to the opposite direction, almost like a form of like gravity or a part of nature.
You nailed it, because you need to have some sort of balance, natural balance, and
Yes.
once this natural balance was broken in some sort of very inappropriate way, that's bad news bears. Am I right?
Yeah. Well, and
Sorry, just go ahead.
Yeah, that's just one part of it. And we do know, I think it's the Dutch prime minister. I think I was talking to Rolf about it yesterday, about how he has taken the reins over of NATO, which is kind of a change of things, like you said, because there was a very strong liberal, and now I'm not really sure where he's going to stand and what his role is. But
give me a second, please. Sorry for interrupting you, but this is extremely important what you say, because our brand new, freshly elected, pardon me, president, I mean from Slovakia, Peter Pellegrini, you know, he said, okay, we will say yes with certain conditions. First condition, you need to get us arms. I mean, like, you know, the brand new army technology from all the NATO countries, and we will say which one. So tanks, everything, like, you know what I mean, like heavy artillery, you know, like bombers, jet fighters, everything, and it will be for free. And they are like, what? Why? And he said, it's easy. Because you said that we will be out of NATO once we will not, quotes in quotes, give all of our weaponry system to Ukraine. No, I am not blaming Ukraine. I am saying what Peter Pellegrini literally said, for free. And he said, okay, we did that for free. Okay, I don't have any problem with that, but 2 years, once we will say yes, 2 years exactly. And there is a long list of most modern and highly, you know, like advanced and enhanced systems. Not only from US, no, from UK, from France, from Germany, from I think from Sweden, all over the NATO countries and everything, you know, and that's it. Not what I'm trying to say. It's not that
it's
easy.
all about agreements. Yeah, it's agreements, right? So there's a trade-off, and I think there was another nation too that felt like they wanted to be a part of NATO, so there was also a trade-off there too. I think I'm trying to remember which nation that was. Maybe you know what I'm talking about.
I'm just saying, you know, it's like that, and because look, it was serious threat. Like if certain things, then we will have sanctions. I mean, certain you know, like weaponry systems. We will have big sanctions from NATO, and if not all, we will be like out of the whole, you know, organization. And that is the stuff.
Well, that's the reason why, the whole attack on FICO was because he didn't want to continue to support financially what was going on in the Ukraine or something to that effect.
Exactly. You nailed it. You nailed it. Yeah.
So the tension is coming from NATO. Now you had previously been operating with NATO, you know, as an elite soldier. Are you still in communication, or you're not allowed to talk about that? No,
give me a second. I am, but they, once war in Ukraine started, they broke practically all the rules they have.
Right. Yeah.
It is like pretty much next level shit, you know, but for me, literally, I mean, like, what the heck? You've got certain rules, and because of something happened, or let's say it is happening, you will break them. What the heck is that, man? It's absolutely crazy. Oh my.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention too that because your struggles right now are in regard to the Shadow Group, who were also military assets for NATO.
Right? All of them. Yeah.
Every single one of them are elite soldiers. So it's you're the only one that's coming from this other perspectives, you know, because they created that alliance, and you're the only one that's objecting to them. Yeah.
And I just want to say that Peter thought I am mentioning him all over again and again and again, because he is doing, but he already did so much. I mean, such a lot of damage, and he's bragging loudly to the mainstream media, you will never do anything to me because I am a clutch. You mean I am the main person, like this 3-letter alphabet agency with headquarters in Langley, you know, is operating through me, and people were like, I mean, for us,
that's what he said.
It's not a big deal. We know it, but people in Slovakia, they're like, wait, what? they didn't knew that, okay? And I was like, I told you.
Okay, so you're revealing that he has an agenda coming from the United States.
And do you know what is absolutely crazy? You can't get any charges against him because he's got immunity.
Now, Peter, you also, just because of the type of work that you do know some people from that same 3-letter organization as well.
Yes, but I never worked for them because they did really nasty crap.
That's what I want you to do, is to clarify, because I know people get very suspicious. They want to know who you are, where you're coming from, what your perspective is. And we've always been very transparent. So if we say that you're not a part of something, that means you're not a part of something. If we say that you have had communication with something, then we say, you know, we'll say it. And for some reason that, you know, people are, you have implied that we've,
it is for example, if I know people from Latin American drug cartels, it doesn't equals, aka it doesn't mean that I am working with them / for them, or if I ever worked for them. No, it is not the same. It is people definitely not the same.
No. It's almost like they're when you work in this elite soldier environment, which you know, you can kind of see a little bit in movies, but for the most part, 99% of the population will never know what this is, because these are people that when you show up somewhere, those people are there too, right? On occasion.
Yeah.
So cartels will be there. You'll recognize who they are. They recognize who you are. You know, that sort of thing. And it's almost like, and just like Peter taught, they're on the opposite spectrum of what you believe, and you don't agree with what they're doing. But there's this point in time where you bump into each other, and there's no way around it. And so there's a level of what.
There is one thing. There is disagreement, period. But another thing and period. And it is respect. Mutual
I was going to say that. Yes.
Mutual respect. We are not rude to each other. We are not yelling at each other, or maybe using, let's say, rough / inappropriate language or something like that. It is like, okay, different, absolutely like 180 degrees different, you know, points of views to certain, let's say, key matters. Do you know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that we don't respect each other. It will be, and I will say it loud, stupid in the first place and childish in the second place. You know, this is like how this environment works and how it is. Am I right?
Yeah, it is. It's you understand that to get to the level that they're at this point, and that they're still alive, you know that they have abilities and intelligence within the field, that they know how to protect themselves, and that it's not going to be something very easy. They always will have their multiple layers of plans and how to challenge you or what have you, because their skill is at another level. It's very advanced.
Absolutely. It is like plan A, you know, it is like, do you have plan B? No, not like that. I will tell you something. They have so many plans that alphabet is like, nah, it's like not 26 letters of alphabet. No. Like maybe.
That's before they win, right? Yeah, before they even start, they already have those plans.
Yeah, exactly. Like no, not 26, like 260 or something like that, you know, like alphabet X10, you know.
So when you know, say for example, there's a problem and there's a crossover into the area where we're working, and say like the cartel says something like, oh, we recognize so and so that's over in your area of what you're doing. How do you deal with that? Do you technically they belong to them?
They are the whole another field, but it is the biggest concern, or let's say the main concern of dealing with cartels is there are crazy amounts of money per month. Okay, we are talking about trillions of dollars, or let's say dozens of trillions of dollars per month. Okay, and because it is extremely complex. Okay, because it is like, for example, okay, we are talking about like, okay, they are, I don't want to mention the names of drugs, but we know which types of drugs are produced in Latin/Middle, I mean,
Southern America,
so,
Latin America,
in Latin America, that means especially Southern America, and in other types of drugs in, let's say, Middle East, okay? And it is not that easy. Like, okay, parts of the world where drugs are produced, and another parts when they are, aka consumed. I don't want to say consumed, but used. Okay, nah, it's extremely complex, very complicated. I don't know the planning, transporting them, how many people, organizations are used, and everything. Oh my God! I mean, I know many
it's
people.
an empire.
It is
an
an empire. It is crazy. It is crazy. Especially Black X. It is the largest cartel all over the world. They are. The question is not, or should be. Let's say it that way. Not which kind of drugs they are. Like making business with, but which they are not. They are using everything. Black X, Jessica, and all of our listeners, they are operating, and then stay ready and steady. They are operating in 180 countries all over the world. 180, you heard it right. It's absolutely crazy, and as you said, it's an empire. If you know traffickers or traffic it, I don't wanna fool you. Give me a second, okay? I don't wanna fool you. What is the traffic it? Okay, traffic it like traffic, double F, traffic it. Very interesting series of documents with Mariana van Zellner, on National Geographic Channel. And it is like in between 53, 54 to 56, 57 minutes long, each part. It has, I don't know, like 14, 15 parts or something like that. And in one pardon me, in one part, it is whole part about that. Black X and everything. Oh my God. And just by the way, I know some of drug lords being involved in Black X, and this is it. Give me a second. Just because yep, exactly. Yeah, that's her. Yeah. And just because, this is it. Just because I know them, it doesn't automatically means that I am in any sort of way, let's say, involved in any sort of those kind of drug trades or something like that, okay? And I will tell you how I met these people. Because let's say, we operated with special elite units and elite units, in, let's say, Middle East. Yeah, Middle East. And I don't want to be more specific. And that was it, And I was like, oh my God. That is next level crap, how well organized it is and everything,
Well, this is the thing that is coming into our conversations, and people would say, well, I thought you guys are talking about super soldiers. How did this happen? They are so powerful right now that they are influencing governments, and they have been for a while. It's just that nobody's talking about it. And so you could talk about this nation or that nation. We've talked about the shadow group having a very powerful influence, as well as The cartels. The cartels are the movers and the shakers. They're changing the way things are being
Yes,
done.
you are right.
They
And just by
are
the way,
like,
and just by the
it's
way, talking
powerful.
about Peter Todd, they are interchanging, drugs from Latin America to, or let's say for one thing, and I was like, oh my God, I don't even want to think about it. They are getting billions, dozens of billions of dollars, per week, just because, or let's say thanks to the direct trafficking to mostly Western Europe. And quotes in quotes, as a favor, they are getting their nice blonde / red hair, red head and blue / green eyed, mostly Ukrainian underage girls. And I was like, what? And do you know what they said? Do you know what they said to me? What's your problem with that? They are worth orphans. Nobody will miss them. And I was like, are you, I swear, really badly talking about? Those are
Peter Toth said that.
Sorry,
Peter
what?
Toth said that.
Yeah, literally like that. And I was like, are you
They
kidding
make money
me?
off of people. Yeah, I mean, I want to show you something,
Give me
Peter.
a second, Jessica. Give me a second. I was like, they are not cattle. What the heck,
Right.
man? Oh
No,
my
but that's
God.
and this is an issue that we really should not ignore, because they're also stripping people of their
But
organs.
give me a second, Jessica. I will tell you something. They were training so much, and I mean so much English. One of them, a certain group of them English, another group of them French, another of them German. I mean language, and they were talented in many, let's say, fields. Some of them arts, like painting or playing music instruments, or I don't know, like mathematics and everything. And they were in one huge coach, like bus, like 50 of them. And I was like, okay. I was like, oh my God. And and give me a second, all of those types, all of those, like red blue eyes, blonde / red head. And I was like, oh my God. Me personally, because the driver was about to make smoke pause, and I was like, girls, get the heck away from this bus. Those guys are goddamn dangerous. And they don't understand. I mean, they understand, the language, and I was like, oh my God. It was so disgusting, because all of them, talented girls, everything, they tried to learn language as hard as they can and everything, 3 languages, the different languages and everything. And I was like, oh my God, why in the world this? 50 young girls, teenage girls, like, oh my goodness.
Pulling from your community. I mean, yeah. It's horrible.
Give me a second. They were from Ukraine, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter. But the excuse, war orphans, nobody will miss them. Stupidest excuse in the world. What the heck?
That's why people question, what is the actual intention of a war? Is it to make money, or is it actually, it doesn't really seem to have a cause? Other than that,
start seeing people everything. Make money off of Jessica, look, in the first place, okay, all of also called special machinery. That means it's, let's say, another term for, pretty much war machinery, okay? Like work mechanism and everything and everything and everything. Okay. I mean, it isn't okay, but do you know what I mean? Then people, they didn't, quote unquote, catch the train. That means they didn't catch it before actual war started. It is like gold mine for traffickers, They
Is this an underground train? An underground?
No, I'm talking normally. And that's the reason why so many of them pretty much they left. For example, unstable areas, for example, in Latin America or in Mexico, when they want to get either to US or to Canada. And in case of Ukraine, from Ukraine to whatever, like West European countries, or let's say Western European countries. But they will not survive because war is all over the place in Ukraine. It's absolutely crazy. And
well, I saw that in California, there was a brothel, or under the guise of massage parlors. That's the way they do it. And there was a brothel there, and a bunch of Ukrainian women were there in California. I think that there was a drug bust or something that happened. I'll have to look it up again, but I remember reading about it. So because there's a lot of them coming over, but not coming over as free people, coming over as being owned. Yeah.
Yeah, this is it. And it is pretty much like mobs, like mobsters, but not, I don't know, like mafia and other stuff like drug lords, but they are, quote unquote, mobsters because they are trafficking the people.
Right.
Oh my God. It's so bad.
I wanted to share something because people don't realize how much of an influence this is. I found this article. I was researching this guy, Carlos Slim.
Okay.
And he's a very, very powerful businessman, right? Multi-billionaire.
I think he was born in Lebanon, I think.
Yeah, he's Lebanese. His name is Khalil Salim Haddad Aglamaz, right? So you don't really know. He's Maronite. I had a friend that was Lebanese, and he used to talk about how he's connected to the Maronites, and he's from Lebanon. And so I was like, well, how did that happen? So he's in Mexico City, and he became extremely powerful to the point where the small, like, little restaurants and stuff will have a little sign saying, "We are not run by Carlos Slim," or something like that. Essentially, he owns everything, all the different businesses and properties and all that. And he also had a problem with Trump. And so people wonder, well, how did all these problems and everything happen with Trump? Well, this guy, I think he got on the wrong side of friendship with him, and some things started happening.
Give me a second. Once you are pretty much unfriendly with those type of people, you got in big trouble, like big trouble. And the stuff is, it absolutely doesn't matter that you are U.S. president, or let's say if you are American president or not.
Yeah, 100%. That's why, if they have the ability to put in anyone that they want just from the money alone. We'll just say, well, I'm not saying that they've done it, but we look at our situation right now. Somebody did it. I'm not saying exactly that I know who did that, but this is one area where you can say $150 billion estimated value of Carlos of Slim's companies, which that's probably what on face value you see. You don't see what, they kind of whatever they do with in hiding their money in other locations, which all billionaires do. There's only so much where they can put the money in. And if you looked at those shows with the cartels, you see that how, there was a point where they start digging in the ground. They had so much money, they didn't know where to put it.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah.
they
They let
with
them rot. They
nothing.
let them rot it. I know.
Yeah. And
I know
he's
that.
just like one. There's other billionaires around the world, but just to show that there is, and he isn't recognized as being a part of the cartels, but I think it's kind of obvious. But
It's way too obvious. Yeah,
yeah.
you are right.
And so then you start looking at, all right, so now we have the Middle East influence in South America, which I'm trying to piece this together because they started to bring in some Jewish leadership in Mexico. And so I'm like, well, so we have like the Middle East, there's a war breaking out. Then we have South America, which you think is Latino people. It's a mixed combination, right, of indigenous and Hispanic and some of the African cultures and all this
No,
combination.
no,
And then
you are right.
right.
You get it right. Very right. Yeah, 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 yeah,
But
yeah,
I
yeah.
see, that there is this leadership coming from Lebanon, and then and it's like you see now the Middle East is essentially south of us as well. So as that battle's going on, and it's just a major trauma, and then what's going to happen next? What's happening there on your border? Because as you said, that they're trying to move things more west, more of a bigger war. I don't really know what their actual thought of an end game is, maybe until they have enough money. I don't know exactly what's going to stop it. Just like the pandemic, that certain people became multimillionaires during the pandemic. And so we know that certain people are making,
Suddenly, out of nowhere.
right? The people that made masks, the people, suddenly they knew to invest in certain things. Yeah, it's not accidental at all.
Suddenly, I am making fun from that, but I am not making fun from that. But I mean, it was that obvious that even the stupidest people in the world will realize it is. Let's say it was way too obvious. Okay, like way too obvious. Sorry.
See, and then all of this stuff on top of it, we're getting bleed-throughs. What the bleed-throughs are actually then creating this reality. So we see the same individuals that are causing problems over there, it's bleeding through over here as well, which is something that we brought up on another channel, which caused a big uproar, and people didn't fully understand what we were saying, is that these bleed-throughs are very, very real. They're happening. And I think it's something that it's not about pointing fingers at people or anything like that. We just want to see some type of resolve, and that how many millions of people that are going to die, particularly because of whether it is defending a view or an ego or anger or vindictiveness or whatever it is. And so you just people want to see a change. They want to see disclosure. They want
and you've got Italian descent, so you know what vendetta means. Oh my God, you know what it means.
Definitely, I know what it means, and I also know that there's certain things, there's unwritten rules that people go by that not everyone fully understands.
Give me a second, but my question is, why so many people believe it is for fun? Because mafia, I don't want to say I am legitimating it and blah blah blah. Nah, definitely not. But I am saying that if they want to play it, quote unquote, play it classy, they've got certain rules, and those rules can't be broken. They can't, No,
the people they watch it on TV and they think everything's fake, and they don't realize it's based on something that actually happened. And
you nailed it. You nailed it. Yeah.
When I grew up, or my say the time period of my parents and my grandparents, people were in their communities. They were around like-minded people from the country that they came from, because they stayed in these communities in the United States, because they were familiar with each other. So, you have like, Little Italy, little Chinatown, you have like an Irish region, you know what I mean? Or a Jewish region or whatever, you know what I mean? And
No,
people
I understand, and I absolutely agree with you that it was the best way possible how things were working, if we want to call it that way. Am I right?
I'm talking about Boston, so people understand. Boston is not New York City. It has a different dynamic, and then plus we had the Mayflower people too. Some of the old, they call them the blue bloods, the ones that came over.
I want to ask you one thing. What do you think about NIC? New York. What do you think about it? Is it bad? Good? Bad?
New York has a different dynamic. I mean, I've been to New York City plenty of times. They have their own ways of doing things, but they have, definitely defined neighborhoods. It's similar to Boston, but it has a different feel to it. And also, it's a different kind of melting pot. For example, Boston would bring in all people that were immigrants. So we have, when I was a child, by the time I was about 15 to 16, I think I met like people from majority of the cultures of the world. It was that there was that many types of people. We had a huge population of Armenian people in the next town over. That was one of the highest population of Armenian people in the world. It was
Give me a second. What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So you have people from all different cultures, and we just learned from each other.
Oh my God!
Figured out
Armenians.
Everybody.
Oh my God!
But in New York City, you attract a different type of people particularly that want to become famous. They don't really go to Boston to become famous. They go to Boston if they want to be educated. We have the highest amount of colleges in the
I know that. I know that.
For size and scale and everything, it's definitely a student town. But it's one of the most well-known schools. MIT, Harvard, they were all within like driving range, 10, 15 minutes from my home when I was a kid.
15-minute cities. We will to call it 15-minute city.
Yeah. They were, you could almost get away with it there, but I definitely don't like the whole concept of any kind of slave system. But so that's the difference. You have this huge amount of people that want to make it. It's kind of, New York City's kind of like LA, where it attracts people from around the world that want to be famous. So that changed it. So it kind of has, you see these glamorous people walking around where you might see more educated or students in our city. Plus I think we took in possibly the same amount or more immigrants than New York City. That's all I'm going to say. They have them in our airport right now. Yeah.
What? Oh my.
There's immigrants in our airport. There's such an overflow, and New York is like, we need to get rid of some of these people. And you don't hear Boston saying that. They figure it out, and we have very strong Hispanic communities too. Like this whole towns or city towns that are Hispanic. You can go in there and you think you're in another country.
Oh wow. Yeah.
But we're used to that, But we'll go over, and I'll go get I could get Cambodian food, or I can go get Moroccan food, or I can go to have something Arabic, or you know what I mean. It is a nice way to grow up. I think it's a nice way to live, and it's a nice way to see the world, and the world comes to you rather than you go out. But it's nice to go out and see the world as well. But I know that we're going off on a major tangent, but what I would like to just swing back at is that whoever has the power in this world has the money. And whether it is from a group that you like or dislike, it doesn't really matter. They're the ones that have the power. And I hate to say it, but money does talk. And so you're,
if you like it or not, that's true.
Maybe 40 years ago, when you were, as a soldier, you were traveling around, you weren't bumping into cartels, but now you are. Maybe you were bumping into agents. Maybe, like
I don't want to say it lovely. I don't want to say it lovely.
Right. Yeah, it's the dynamic has changed, and you have to be realistic about it. And unfortunately, even those that were in agencies sometimes were involved in the same things that the cartels are doing right now. So rather than be accusational, somebody created this market of interest.
Give me a second. It is like if you are doing certain missions, okay, and you simply can't avoid to get in contact, for example, with cartels. Like you can't simply. You can't get
because
avoided.
They're in the market. There is a market. Someone wants to pay for human organs. Someone wants to pay for children. Someone wants to pay for.
No, I don't wanna hear about children, please. Oh my God.
Right. No, I mean it's a horrible reality.
It is abomination.
Yes, it is.
So sorry, I get started, like triggered for that, but
the question is not everyone looks at the people that are doing it and they're making money off of it, but who is buying it? Who a lot of people don't talk about who's purchasing it.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't a market, that wouldn't be an issue. If no one wanted to buy children, no one wanted to.
You are right. You are right.
So this is a deeper level of consciousness or lack of consciousness, depravity, and complete evil, that it has gone to this level, and someone has marketed the idea of adrenochrome.
And I will
something.
And I will tell you something. Give me a second. Talking about underage girls and everything from Ukraine, and I met this guy, you know, who was in charge of that, and he straight out asked me if I want to have quotes private fun with few of them, and I was like, what in the world are you talking about? That I can pick not one, maybe 2, 3, 4, and I was like, what in the world you? And I swear, okay, I can't repeat that, but I swear. And I was like, hey, Jessica, please, from my point of view, no soul left. In such a people, no soul left.
No, it's a horrible violation against the universe. It really is. It's not just here, not just in a nation. It's not just in a country. It's not just in our world. It's beyond that. Everybody's watching when we're violating children, when we're harming anyone that's innocent, hasn't done anything, when we're deliberately giving them drugs, knowing that they're going to die. That kind of thing is a horrible
you are right.
situation. You don't have that's scales of murder. That is, I don't know what level of forgiveness. I'm not God. I don't make those decisions, but I do know for a fact it is highly disapproved of on many, many different levels, and you will pay the price universally for making those decisions. It's not something you can do lightly. No, you can't.
No,
and once
you are goddamn right. It's like, what in the world? Are you crazy? And they are like, nah, it is normal. And I was like, what in the world you just said? It is everything but not normal. It is definitely not normal. And period. And end of the discussion. Like, oh my God.
I will say that the way that the universe works is you put on a watch at that moment, put on a watch, and your time is limited.
Do you know what? Time is limited. You nailed it, Jessica. You nailed it. Oh my God.
I know I've seen plenty of things in my life, and you know, when you've crossed that line, your consciousness breaks, and you start to not see the truth of what's going on. And I don't know. I mean, it's an individual soul contract, soul agreement, or violation that you have to do that between you and that higher belief system. You know, you have to decide where you're going with this. But you know, everybody knows when you're about to cross that point where there's no return, and you have to make that decision.
That is what I was about to say. Like, nah, this is point of no return. Like, definitely not.
Yeah. I mean, these are tough, hard subjects, and we have to be realistic if we want to see changes. If we ignore some of these things and we keep on saying, well, you know, there's a spaceship that's going to take me off the planet. If you get abducted, it's very likely it's not a friendly. I mean, there's no escaping from here.
Do you know what? Definitely.
People think that they're going to have an exit plan and not deal with any of this. And you shouldn't have made the agreement to come here in the first place. There might have been something that your soul thought that they would benefit from this, or not realize that it was going to be difficult, and it is difficult for everyone. And the sooner you stop dealing with the illusion that there is going to be a place of escape, you'll be a lot healthier, and you'll recognize that you do have an important role here, and that you could help assist the problem. There are tons of cults that had reached a point where they didn't know where to go, and so they mass suicided. That is not getting picked up by a spaceship. A lot of them called it that.
Yeah, because they realized what they did, just by the way. Am I right?
Yeah, they started dealing with entities that they shouldn't have, and the entities they are very interesting. They're very alluring. They'll tell people certain things, and then before you know it, they bring you to a dead end. And then when you get to that dead end, that's about where things start to happen in a very unhealthy way. And they start drinking the Kool-Aid. You know, I'll just say it like that. And that can happen around any of these groups that are right now interested in the SSP, or any other belief system that you see on, like, online, you know, people. I saw there was a dance cult or something like that was online, where they were pulling kids in, and then the kids didn't know how to get out.
What does it mean, dance cult? Like that.
They called it a dance cult, something like that. I'll have to look it up, but it was really kind of weird. I was seeing that there were videos on how these kids were they got involved. They thought it would be fun. They thought it was like a camp kind of setup, and then they discovered they couldn't get out of it. And so there's different groups that are, I don't know if because of MK Ultra or what they're going through, that they're feeling the need to be in charge of others, and then it's becoming a little scary. Yeah. So I mean, you and I, you know, we've always shared information. We talk about things that are in all different spectrums, you know, of systems. But we also usually talk about politics and what's happening around the world, as well as the space agendas, right?
And that's the stuff from my point of view. Those people don't know they are doing. I mean, give me a second. What we are talking. /who, but from my point of view, not who, but what. And I will tell, or let's say explain, not only to you, Jessica, but to all of our listeners, why I am talking about what rather than who. What we are dealing with. In US are living approximately 700 billionaires, okay? 700. And from this 700, 400 of the richest Americans, they are, okay, let's start from the basics. There are approximately 330 millions of people living in US. And 400 richest Americans have approximately 56% of all the goods in US. It is absolutely crazy. And those people don't know how to handle that kind of, assets. They don't know how to handle that.
They get into personal, yeah, that they find it, especially like you said, they start to want to control their environment, their world. They have the means to do
and
that.
This is it. Give me a second. That is the fact, or let's say the bottom line. Why I am telling the whole situation, not who but what, because from my point of view, since you as a person started to make certain, like really crazy things, your soul left you. Who are talking about you is not, I don't want to say you, Jessica, but to those people, do you know what I mean? They are not talking about them, but about it. Certain, I don't know, call it a demonic entity or something like that. It is controlling the body, let's say the empty vessel. Do you know what I mean?
There's a lot of confusion, and that goes into a whole other conversation. There's a lot of confusion about who am I talking to? I'm hearing a voice, and there's a level where some people say it's voice to skull. So I've experienced I've experienced both. Okay, voice to skull is very weird. Has definitely like a mechanism to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also felt scalar also. It has, that there's a very high level of frequency.
Scalar technology, I know. It is, it can be very helpful once you know, this is important, how to properly handle it. But it is goddamn dangerous once you don't know what you are doing.
But even if you know how to use it,
am I right?
Yeah, but you're still creating some kind of hive mind, even if it's a positive one, it's a false one. So that's why I don't really care for any of it.
That's true. There is no doubt about it.
That. We're supposed to have a clear channel to the divine existence, right? The divine, whether it's God or Jesus or Muhammad or, whatever your belief system is, right? Or Buddha.
Or Yahweh, for example.
Yeah. Yeah. So what, or Shiva, whatever your belief system is, right? You should have that clear channel when you're being bombarded with all this technology, which, there was a woman that's out there and she's talking about how her family was instrumental in bringing out all of this technology, which I think for me, I would be ashamed that my family was participating in using humanity as a test subject. But some people find her interesting because she's revealing information. But it is horrifying, some of the stuff that they've done. But does that still mean that we cannot talk to our inner self or to our connections or to connect to our loved ones on the other side? No, I don't agree. I still think that there's this natural ability that's been going on for thousands of years. So just because you brought out technology doesn't mean that no longer exists. It does. But people need to differentiate, and that's something where it's causing confusion. Also, the whole thing, some people believe that all ETs are demons. They're not all demons. There are ETs.
It was very good joke. Bad joke, but I laugh because this can say only the people, they absolutely have no clue what they are talking about, let's say that way.
Yeah, I know. And people, I'm sorry, I know I have Starbucks for those that are offended. I just got a drink, so, but anyhow, yeah, there's that topic about ETs and because they also play a major role. So Peter, when you are off doing missions, how many ETs show up? Because we've talked about Vlad the Impaler showing up in locations around you.
Give me a second. Vlad who?
Vlad the Impaler or Dracula.
Vlad Dracula. Oh, I was in Romania multiple times, and so many people have bad mind about him, like that he was bad and everything. You know, once we were talking about political situation right now in nowadays, it was pretty much the same case, or let's say same stuff, at the period of time when he left. That means, you know, like he was some sort of autocrat, something like that, but there was order, period. Even Osmans, aka predecessors of Turkish people nowadays, they don't dare to try, do you know what I mean, to go the area where he pretty much, you know, he ruled the area. And that was, I don't want to say good, bad, because he used brute, and I mean really brute force, you know.
He made a huge statement by impaling I don't know how many people, right?
Yep, that's true.
That's true. That's true. He's also an immortal, so his thinking is very old. The way he did things way back then.
Give me a second. He's time traveler in the first place, and in the second place, he's still alive. Oh, I like this face.
I mean, I knew that. You didn't even have to tell me because I've seen him before, and I also know that you just recently brought up this. I think it was a video of this music from Sabaton, and you said that is except, right?
Princess of a Down. Yeah.
Yeah, and you said that was his house. That was his house.
His castle. Yeah. But I will tell you something. The whole, let's say, atmosphere in Romania, they've got extremely nice nature, but it is some sort of mystical. I don't want to say I never believed in that sort of stuff, but I encountered crazy stuff. I mean, crazy things, okay? For example, me being in on missions in the Middle East and everything. And I will tell you something, guys. Like, I met Jin, and I was like, oi, this is not good. He was sneaky and slicky, and I was like, what in the world we did wrong?
Jin? You said a Jin?
Yeah, Jin. I mean, like, I will not watch my language. He was pissed off. Like, oh my god. And he possessed this dervish. It is monk, like a Muslim monk.
Yeah.
He was so physically powerful, suddenly out of nowhere, and I was like, oi, this is not good. This is not good. You said that jinns are not that bad, but I think that they are demons from my point of view.
No, they're not demons. Think of it this way: they're the big version of fairies. They're elementals.
Oh, great, thank you so much. Do you know what? Listeners, Jessica is saying that fairies can be good fairies. Definitely not. No, I disagree.
No, it's just like, you know, you just don't cross their territory and they're okay, or you don't disrespect, you know, like in Ireland they have the fairy mounds, and they'll make a road around. They'll have like a little circle, a fairy circle that the fairies create. When they see that on the ground, they'll avoid any kind of traffic or roads or anything. They'll go around it. They won't cut through it.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Give
because
me a
they know
second.
how to
So
work
that
with them.
is actually the reason. Once I was there, and it was like, what in the world is that? It doesn't make any sense. Now it
They do
makes
that,
sense.
yeah. Iceland does
Okay.
that too. They have their little areas where they recognize that the fairies are at and leave them alone.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean they're part of our Earth, the elements of the Earth.
Yeah, but
It's
who?
kind of built in, so you're not going to get rid of them fully.
But give me a
So
second. You said in Irish and who else?
Iceland does it
Iceland.
as well.
Okay.
And probably some other cultures too that I don't know about. I know that even Japan has their beings that they're careful about, in Africa and some other nations also.
Okay, so
You know,
and pretty much why in the world, what is their deal? If you don't want to harm them, to provoke them, to, let's say, as us soldiers, to challenge them and everything, like what? I just want to move around and period. And why in the world they just get furious? Why? Huh?
yeah.
You
I mean,
are
I've
expert in
heard.
this field. You are expert in this field.
I know people that have gone to Hawaii and they had problems with the Menehune, which is another of the little people there that don't like to be messed with.
Oh,
And you just have.
I was in Hawaii, in Oahu, and I was like, oh, yo. The I saw they were like, I will call them wasps, something like that, you know, but they were etheric, like non-matter, you know. And I was like, oh, yo,
Yeah.
something bad is happening right now. And they were like extremely aggressive, you know. And I was able to hear them, like, and they were flying. And I was like, oh, yo, there is a message for me. And
Yeah,
then
they're very. Yeah.
I need to call like ASAP. Hey man, just help me ASAP. Like indigenous people, 2 or 3, and they will quote unquote translate me to English. And I was like, what in the world was that? And they called them, I don't know what it was, in their language. And I was like, what? And they, fairies. And I was like, oh my God. They looked like wasps, but much bigger, and you can't touch them. They are like ethereal, you know, like non-matter. And I was like, oh my God. And it was like a huge crowd, like mass. And I was like, oh, oh my God.
They'll show up. I mean, they don't show up very often, and they're very private about who they'll show themselves to. They wanted us to know that they're real, but at the same time, they want their privacy, kind of like Bigfoot. You know, Bigfoot recognizes that he's there, but
please don't tell me about Bigfoot. I saw him like 3 or 4 times. He is huge. He's like very extremely furry, you know. He's 10 feet tall or something like that. And he was like, hey, what in the world are you doing here? This is my place. And I was like, you know, it was moments of shock. Oh, it was crazy. It was in Alaska, you know.
yeah. And well, that's more like a Yeti, right? It's more like a Yeti. But these beings, they move in and out of our reality naturally. But that's not considered a bleed through. That's just a normal. They can kind of phase off out of our view.
Yes, you are right. Yes.
Yeah, because they're earth elements. I won't say that the Yeti or the Bigfoot are a species, right?
Something, Jessica.
ET.
Pretty much, we are not here. I mean, sorry. Let's make it correct. We are not quote unquote home here. That's this earth, this reality, timeline, context of existence. It's their home, not our home. They are much older.
We're sharing it with them. if we have to understand the
a second.
rules.
Yes, yes, you are right on one hand that we are sharing it, but we are pretty much aliens for them, not like being ETs, but it's like, hey, what in the world? You youngies, you know what I mean? Like, we are much younger in comparison how old
Yeah,
they
they're
are.
old. They are very old. Yeah, right.
It's
We're a new
them-
species.
What?
Yeah, we're a new
Yeah,
species.
Yes, you are goddamn right. It is like if somebody, it is not very wise to make fun from, I don't know, from astral entities, from gods and something like that. I mean, why in the world somebody will make completely fake either ancient Greek, Rome, or I don't know, like Inks or Mayans, or I don't know, Egyptian or Indian mythology, or mythology from India, you know, from China. No. That's not the wise thing to believe. It is completely fake. Do you know what I mean? Those people just saw something, they gave it, or they gave those entities certain names, and that was it, period. Am I right?
Yep. Yep. And
And
so,
I
Peter,
will
when I know you have a very strong respect for the fairies because you had an interaction with them in that region, Tribeca Mountain, when you were growing up, but also you had that big incident where they had taken you out, so that you have a healthy respect for them.
It was crazy. It was like we were there for investigation. It wasn't like paranormal crap, but I don't want to tell what happened. It was top secret military mission, and I was like, hey guys, stop, this is not for fun, okay? And people, you know, like elite soldiers and everything, there's like, hey, you are just a widow, you know, like you get, you know, like scared by any sort of crap, and then it happened. Like, you know, there is a pardon me, there is sound of wind and everything. It's normal in the nature. And then, Jessica, nothing. Extremely quiet. And
Yeah.
then, but give me a second. And then, exactly as in movie Crack, like something, let's say, what is the closest sound? Okay, I got it. Extremely loud heartbeat, like boom, 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 and we were like, they were goddamn terrified, and I was like, guys, stop laughing, stop panicking, just lay down to your belly and don't move. And there's like, you know, and they were all over the place. Oh my god, so many of them. Fairies, like
those white orbs or something. They almost look like little white orbs.
Yeah, something like that. But there's so many of them, and they were all over the place. But I will tell you something. Those guys, it was pretty much everybody except me, they vanished. I am not goddamn kidding you. They vanished. And I was like, I will tell you something. I don't get scared just from something, like random thing. But I was like, oh my god, this is not even close to be funny. I've got respect to you guys. And after weeks, after months, those people, those elite soldiers, appeared suddenly all over the Europe. They were barely dressed, like only in pants, you know, heavily scratched, like if you have a huge knife or machete or something like that, all over the body, burns. They have strong photophobia, you know, erratic behavior. They stuttered a lot, and all of those symptoms, literally like in the movie. And I wrote this exact stuff. I look to them, or let's say, see the movie. I will tell exactly what will happen. Exactly. I literally I wrote this to the like report, but because I know what will happen. And bam, it happened. And they were like, what in the world, Peter, you wrote in this? And I was like, hey, stop. I am not kidding you. I know this part of the Slovakia. I know that, can we call it supernatural things? Yeah. So I know that natural things are happening there. I know it is serious stuff. And as soon as this start to happen, because they make some sort of timeline, I was like, guys, stop. You don't do that after I mean, we should stop investigation. We should stop the mission and everything after sunset. And they were making fun from that, and everything. And then, in the first moment, once sun get under the horizon, the same crap. Extreme silence and everything. Rest of the story. And I was like, why in the world you made fun from that? They were, that was my initial thought. I was like, oh my God.
It's serious. It's very real, and they're not malicious, but when you're in their territory, you're in their territory. And it's like bees, like you want to kick, you bump into the hive, and
I mean, give me a second. You can, but with certain obvious consequences. Am I right?
Yes. It's very similar. So there's different categories, right? So there's elementals, and then there's the ETs, and then there's whether the cryptos. Some of them are made out of a lab. Some of these, there's creatures that are made from a lab that went wrong, experiment hybrids that were made. And then we have our visitors from off world that come here, and then these time travelers, like you said. So you got quite a vast array of different things that you can encounter, particularly with the ACIO, researching, documenting, and archiving all of this information over since the beginning of humanity. So there's quite a wealth of information there. And then because of these corporations, there has been some investigations in trying to find out more about
at least what we know. Vlad Dracula, who was like prototype of vampires, if we want to call it that way, but for example, world leader, like him or not, but he is one of the world leaders. For example, Vladimir Putin, he is a time traveler too. Like it or not, that's true.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's evidence online that he's a time traveler. You can see him in various different forms. I actually saw something that was kind of, I don't know if it's comical, I should be laughing or not, but they did a comparison of Putin next to the Mona Lisa, and they actually looked the same.
Very, very similar. No, it is not Vlad. It is Vladimir. Okay, not Vlad. Okay. Vladimir. It's big difference. So, okay.
All right. So Peter, are you going to tell me that he's Mona Lisa too? That was one of his
let's take it that way aspect of him, because what we know, we are not sure which kind of gentleman, but what we know, we are sure, okay, that Mona Lisa, it's actually not Mona Lisa, but it is a he. It is a gentleman, okay? We are sure about that.
Okay, so historically, you are accurate, Peter, because a lot of times it was disgraceful for women to reveal their clothing, to remove their clothing in that culture, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of times men would fill in as women. That's why you see these sculpted sculpted statues of, it looks like they're women, but they're very strong masculine looking, is because they were a lot of times using male models to help them.
That's true. Yes.
So yes, this doesn't sound very far-fetched for me. It just threw me off, as it will, because he doesn't strike me as the type that's a cross-dresser. Anyone could be, whatever, because we've not seen any evidence of that. And it's not even about that, but time travelers do have a way of disguising themselves, which is kind of for a different reason, right? I don't know.
You are right.
And some of them are like androgynous, so they can go into, if they're of ET descent, they can change into male or female. And there was a movie that I saw, I think it was called Orlando, and it was
sorry for interrupting you, Jessica, but we need to get one thing, or let's say accept one thing, and it is, many people will be like, oh my god, Insider is telling us total crap, but it is as it is, that certain ET species, they've got many sexes. I mean, how can I say it? Genders.
Yeah.
It's like, but we are not talking about, I don't know, 3, 4. They've got like 8, 10, 12, or maybe like 20 genders. And it's like, hey, Insider is promoting LGBT. No, I am just saying the things how they are. And
LGBT applies to humans. But
please give me a second. That is the reason why LGBT is now, let's say, so quote unquote in and so quote unquote trendy, because those ET species are now in charge, and they want to, how can I say it properly, acknowledge all of their genders. Like, hey, what? Stop. We need to acknowledge this gender, that gender. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And if they are, for example, like, no, 2, 3, 4, or let's say 4 main ET races, quotes in quotes, in charge, and each of them have, like, for example, 15 or 18, 20 genders, yeah, then British Facebook can have 70 genders in their, do you know what I mean, like, register page, and just pick the gender, it's normal. Hey, give me a second. I am not saying I am okay with that. I am, how can I say it, explaining that. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, but it's causing problems for humans, because the typical procreation thing, also it's throwing off, here again, it's the balance. So it came in really strong, so it made people
Jessica, give me a second. I know it is very impolite to interrupt you again and again and again. One thing, I absolutely 100% agree with you, but there is one problem, big problem. They, aka those races, they absolutely don't care what is good or bad / what is important or not important for people. No, they absolutely don't care. And once they are, or let's say they will be in charge, I mean, like the highest or of higher elite, that, once they will be like in real charge, we will be facing with those kind of problems. And
what
we
race
will
is
have,
this, Peter?
and
What's the
we
name
will have, give me a second, and we will have this, I mean, like, how can I call it, like LGBT topic as, I don't want to say main agenda, but big topic on the table. Do you know what I mean? Like discussion table or something like that.
That's a forced agenda, you mean, a forced agenda?
Sorry, what?
What? A forced agenda?
Yeah, forced agenda. Yeah. You are right.
Right. So what is the name? What is the race that
No, I will not say any sort of name of race, aka names of races, of those races, let's say, with many genders, and I will tell you why. Because they've got elite, even in intergalactic council, what is pretty much something as in world, or let's say on Earth, we've got UN, United Nations. So intergalactic council is something like that, but on not only galactic, but let's say we are using the term, what is just, by the way, bad term, intergalactic council, because it is intra-universal council, but we are using other term slash bad term, intergalactic council. It is pretty much like we just for quick parallel, okay? We are talking about UFOs because like 95%, maybe 99% of people, they are used to use term UFO. What is not true now, it is UAP, what is unidentified Arael phenomenon. UAP, instead of UFO. But if I will say universal, pretty much nobody will know what is going on. But if I say intergalactic council, all people will know. It is the same case as with UFO / UAP, just for a parallel.
You don't think they want to be known? I mean, they're influencing
it is not thinking, I'm sure, and I don't want to make even, let's say, I don't want to make position of Earth and human race even more complicated in their, or let's say from their point of view. Call it that way. Let's call it that way.
I think it already is. But
give me a second. Did you heard what I tell? Did you hear what I told? Did you heard? Even more complicated as it is. Did you heard?
Yeah, we have problems right now.
No, this is it. This is it. What I'm saying.
I was just thinking that it sounded very like 12D Pleiadian to me. That's all I was thinking.
They are in epicenter of all of the bad things. They are pretty much happening all over the place in the universe, Yeah. And not only universe, but pretty much the dimension,
So speaking of ETs, Peter, you were going to talk about Area 58 or Area 81, which Mars is Area 58.
Do you know what? That will be pretty much for next show, I think. What do you think, huh?
All right.
So, and lastly, like for 15, 20 minutes, something like that, maybe 25, we can talk about Bleedroot, what is extremely bad, that so many bad things, are happening and everything, like, for example, coach, like bus, you know, crashed in Iceland with Czech tourists. You know, and I get in and I got in instantly interested because you know we were Czechoslovakia. I was like, okay, fine. That was official version. Bus crashed and everything. And you know what happened? But the bus disappeared. How in the world can bus disappear? It doesn't make any sense, you know? But give me a second. This is official version, and problem is that what was the real deal? That bus disappeared. How in the world can bus disappear? You know, and it is small country. It is small country. Iceland is not big country.
No, it isn't.
They said absolute wrong number. They were 40 people on the bus. It was much bigger bus, so it was a fake photo. I don't want to say fake photo. Let's say photo from older, you know, case of crash in the first place. And on the second place, I mean, like, how in the world can bus disappear? It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't look like a bus. Does that look like a bus to you?
This is it, what I'm talking about. It is not.
That's like you said, that would have to be something else, because yeah, that is weird. They also in Iceland had a weird plane incident that I visited years ago, where I felt like I was on that plane and that thing had crashed.
Yes.
Similar to what you're saying, and I didn't know how I recognized it. All right, supposedly this is the Iceland bus.
Give me a second. I will tell you something. Do you know what was extremely crazy? Extremely crazy was or is one thing, and it is that in Keflavik, what is like second or maybe third largest city in Iceland.
This is the one that I actually visited that, and I said I remember being on this plane, and I think I saw names that I recognized and everything. It was really crazy, and I saw myself as a young child on this plane, like they had abducted me.
But give me a second. On this city, named Keflavik, planes. Normally, I am not kidding you. Airplanes are constantly missing. They got missing. Why in the world nobody is talking about it? Airplane approached for landing and no airplane, nothing. Why? And I will tell you why. Because it is place of bleed truths to another realities where bad / extremely bad, okay, corporations are kidnapping people for their experiments. Mostly Monarch, Mobius, Umbrella, now, you know, called Rainstorm Company. And nobody's talking about it. You know?
Peter, I would say that I have traveled to this airport. I can't even tell you how many times. If I looked at my passport, how many times I've gone here.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but I've also
God,
driven around the whole area, and you know, because this is the place of Vikings. These people are the early Vikings.
Jessica, oh my God, you are so lucky. And I mean, give me a second, like, so lucky, okay?
Like I told you, when I went to this place right here with the crash site, I went inside. And I'm looking around, I'm saying, what the hell happened to me here? And all the memories came back that I was on this, they took me from the Boston area as a young
Okay.
child, brought me over here. They crashed it, and then they took us.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And
I mean,
I don't-
why in the
it's a
world
history.
I am not surprised? Why in the world I am not surprised?
And by the way, this also is the airport. And I've had trauma when I see like I'll listen to music from
Okay.
Iceland, and I literally feel trauma from there. And I know that I also had an ancient recall of being with Odin, who was my father in that reality, and having getting killed. I have a recall of getting killed and getting cut by these black rocks. And I'm like, this is crazy. So many memories coming from that area. It's definitely a place that's in between. I definitely agree with you. And when you walk around there, it looks like you're on another planet. Like if you drive, the landscape is really wild. You know, you'll have like the black sands, and you think you're on another planet.
I believe you
Yeah.
completely. And I mean, give me a second, like completely, okay?
And this was the airport that accused me that was looking through my luggage, like
Yeah,
extra.
you told me the whole
Yeah.
whole
So
incident.
someone was
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to set me up there, which didn't make any sense either, because it have zero history of anything like that. So anyone would be suspicious if I was accused of something like that. But look at, the landscape is incredible. It's absolutely beautiful because it's so different. And as you keep driving, it's like you're in different places.
In different places of the world.
Or even off-world.
But see, I will tell you something. Pretty much not different places of the world, but in different worlds, pretty much.
Yes.
Am I right?
I mean, this is real. It's a magical place.
I know.
And like I said, they're ancient Vikings, the lineage. Those people are of I don't know if they're originally Norwegian.
To be perfectly, my shame, but I'm not so sure, 100% sure either, but they are something like that. But it's only very small populated country, like 150,000 people, something like that. I mean,
I had thought about living there. I just thought it was so beautiful.
Yeah. So, but give me a second. So this is the one stuff, or let's say the one major situation what happened, and another stuff what I was like really, really, really worried about, that there were two major incidents in Czech Republic ACIO prevented. It was via bleed throughs. I mean, sorry, I didn't finish it up. On the railway. And I was like, oh my God, if this will happen, that will be not okay. That was so crazy.
So these people just never showed up then, huh? They never found them. So
No.
20 people are missing?
No, Jessica, it is absolutely, but give me a second. In the first place, there were 40 people in the bus, so it was much bigger bus in the first place. And in the second place, they vanished without a trace. And nobody's talking about it.
2 people are still kept asleep in the hospital after the bus accident happened.
No, I'm just saying it's.
What does that mean? They mean like
it doesn't match reality, Jessica. It doesn't match reality. No way.
What do you think that they're doing? Because the Slavic people, there's a genetic interest, right?
Give me a second. This is exactly what I'm pointing at. Slavic genetics, experiments and everything, because we as a Slavic people have let's call it most desired genetic descent, or let's say not genetic descent, genetic profile, okay, or let's say most desired descent, It was
This is
pretty much the
because
same stuff. It was pretty much the same stuff as in Chernobyl. What happened after that? So many people, they have a RH factor. They got affected by radiation, but so many people, vast majority people, they lack RH factor. So instead of RH plus, RH minus, there is RHX. That means they can't. I mean, medical doctors can't determine RH factor. Nothing happened to them. I mean, but give me a second. Once I'm saying nothing, I mean like literally nothing. They should be dead. And it doesn't affect them. I mean, those people, like not at all. They can't get burned. I mean, they can get, but they are much more, like immune. They can be much longer period of time under the water without, like breathing and all kind of that stuff. They can't freeze just that easy, and everything.
they have some kind of ET genetics or something that enables them.
Yes. First Slavic people, they, I mean, the main descent of them, it was like approximately 190, 200 miles away, approximately 320 kilometers. Give me a second. Northwest to far east city in Russia called Vladivostok. They were pretty much the first people in the world, just by the way. Even the people in Africa, they are not completely black, like absolutely black. Give me a second, I'm not racist, but I'm just saying that they've got many races too. Do you know what I mean? For example, the same as in Europe, you've got like people in from Mediterranean to mixed races in, for example, Mid Europe, and Mediterraneans, they are like more, let's say, tan skin. Yeah, and darker skin. And if you go to Scandinavia, they've got pale skin, And so if we are talking about complete dark and not that extremely black, but let's say 95% black, if I'm right. Am I right? Something like that. And the stuff is
brown.
Brown. Dark brown, extremely dark brown. Yeah, extremely dark brown. And the stuff is like in those kind of extremely dark brown. In those cases, they've got, believe me or not, but they've got Slavic descents. Yeah, they have, literally. Believe me or not, it's true.
So if they had a DNA test done, they would find some Slavic connections.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
And the tribes are, like you said, they're not all exactly the same in Africa, even though people just try to put them all together as one, but they have different influences, and some of them have ET genetics as well. I think the Dogon, I think the Dogon tribe in that.
Oh yeah, you are right.
And then there's there's a few different ones that you can see that there's other influences. They don't, they have a variation of cultures. They're a world within a world there. There are ET influences in some of the tribes, and some of them are, it's evident that they have connections to the stars. Some of them are a mixture of different races, and it's a combination, and you can actually see some Asiatic appearances, and there's this history of the African leadership going to China and in actually influencing and providing information.
That's true. That's true. Yes.
So you see, yeah, and around the world, I mean, you see that there were these merchants, and also the whole storyline of Jesus, where they were coming from Africa and some other regions, Egypt and so
From
forth.
Egypt. Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah, exactly.
So which is, like I said, there's all this variations of cultures that are old cultures that we need to acknowledge and respect, and that they're even my culture, my one of my relatives discovered
Look,
that we
Jessica, I am so, and what, I will not watch my language once again. I am so pissed off. Why in the world are we that plain ignorant and stupid, playing pretty much gods on earth in Australia? we as European
settlers, yeah,
we as European settlers are in Australia approximately for 4 centuries, and we should, quote unquote, we believe, I'm not saying we should, we believe that we should take or get rules to Aborigines people. They are in Australia for what? 60,000 years? It absolutely doesn't make any sense. As I said, there is pilgrimage, approximately 220 miles long in southeast Australia, each year per year. And those ignorants in Canberra, central, government of the whole Australia, they want to, quote unquote, kill the connection, because Aborigines are making this pilgrimage barefoot, because they want to stay in connection with nature, and they want to make the government, they want to make pave road from that. I'm like, what in the world? Why?
You said something that was really, really interesting, Peter, and that there was a lot of people that claim that they're experts about wing makers and that they know everything, and that no matter what we said, they're all right. We don't know anything, even though that this is part of the ACIO. One of the things that you pointed out that no one has ever brought up is that there was the similar writing in the wing makers as the Aborigines.
Yes, that's true.
Nobody has put that link together, because not everyone knows. They're reading a book and then they become an expert by reading that book, because it's someone else's writing, but it's not firsthand. And they're trying to do some research, and we have the information here if they're real true seekers for that information. But if they think they know everything, then there's nothing we can do. Or if they want to discredit us, then they think that makes them more important. Good for them. But this is information that belongs to the ACIO. And the Aborigines have had a presence. And I had a discussion with, Tyson Taino, and he talked about the brown-skinned presence in the Americas. And he said, and how they talked about how they I think I read something about how a group of these tribes were actually shipped off to Australia too, as well, and it was the same group. Correct me if I'm wrong, Peter.
I know that.
So, people want the truth and want some real history. You have to dig a little deeper, but it's there. And it depends. Some people want to just go with what they believe in the status quo. I'm not saying that other indigenous races weren't in the Americas. Absolutely not. We're not discarding that information at all. But there is one piece that was kind of removed. And
that's true.
That's true. Revealed the wing makers, because they're a very old culture, Peter. How old is their culture? Has been around for a very, very, very long time.
I don't know, but it's like thousands of years. According our records, at least 40,000 years. What is goddamn long period of time?
And there are cultures, like a lot of the Caucasian cultures were mud flooded, and there were
Yes,
exactly.
Uh-huh. Yes.
There are some of the indigenous cultures, they figured out how to survive and thrive during floods and other major calamities on the planet, and they maintain their culture. So they have a longer history and recognition of what had happened, at least from their perspective, because they weren't, able to travel the world, but they know, what their experience was and what had happened. And you see a common thread around the world of different groups that were able to survive during some of these challenges.
Yeah,
But
right.
here again, the level of respect of knowledge and everything, and that the Aborigines were involved in the wing makers, which is interesting that, most of the time you are in the land down under there in Australia, at Pine Gap, and doing whatever it is, but also working harmoniously with the people there.
Yes, and from my point of view, that's it for today's show. I want to say big thank you, Jessica, for giving me another opportunity to be on your channel. I want to say big thank you to all of our listeners for their patience, that they still with us till the end of the show. Stay safe, stay strong, and I'm really looking forward for next time. Hold tight, and bye-bye.
Okay, and thank you, Peter. And we also want to know that we're with you, in spirit and energy and support as you try to hold back some of the problems, the impending greater level or higher, higher alert regarding wars, and to help us to understand and grow and become more conscious. As we do that, then we will raise our frequency and help us to get through some of these challenges, becoming more aware, not to ignore the facts of what exists, but figure out what to do once you recognize it. And I encourage people not to be escapists, not to avoid, and not to be in any type of denial of some of the things that are in front of us, but actually try to learn from it. There's something there for you as we're all in the process of learning. So thank you for listening. Thank you for your support, and have a good day.
You have been watching Disclosures. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Visit www.acio-official.org and www.readingsbyarael.com to book a private session with Jessica. Feel free to support our work. All links can be found in the description. Thank you, and until next time.